What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to another movie review here on Action Industries. My name is Ben Bateman. Today we are talking about a non-spoiler review. First thoughts for Don't Breathe 2. Not directed this time by Fede Alvarez, this time directed by Rodo Sayaguas. This is a horror sequel in all of the versions of the word you can think of. It is a film trying to take advantage of the scares and the thrills and the frights and the wonder of a successful first horror film. 2016's Don't Breathe, starring Stephen Lang, was a wonderful movie, a surprise film. Fede Alvarez, a director who I think many of us are a big fan of, did a great thing with that first movie. And this second film is kind of crazy, right? And the reason it's crazy is because when you watch the first movie, you say to yourself, how could you make a sequel? And given the trailer for this film, how could you make a sequel that actually feels like it's doing anything other than totally violating the contract between audience and film of our estimation of this main character, the Stephen Lang blind man, the blind man whose house is broken into in the first film by a group of hoodlums trying to rob him. He is horrible in the first movie, it turns out, as you learn his story. I don't want to spoil it in case anyone hasn't seen it, but he is a deplorable human. So to see the second film and have some idea that he is like looking out for a young girl, which is what the premise of the film is, was a little unsettling. Not something that I think I expected. And in the end, what it feels like is that the people who made this film said, hey, Stephen Lang is jacked AF. We think he's great in this role as the blind man in Don't Breathe. People like this movie enough that if we make a sequel, people will watch it. Let's figure out a way to make a sequel, right? That to me feels like the conversation that happened. Not there is a second story to be told, it's an interesting story, and here's why it should be made. More Stephen Lang, you starred in this first film, will give you X amount of money to do the second film. It's probably a good choice because this movie had a cult following, and we know the second one could make money. So they make it. And what it ends up feeling like is a campy horror sequel that has a lot of stupid laughs and a plot line that doesn't exactly stay consistent or high tension like the first film. And that's okay. There's a lot of horror sequels in the genre that are beloved. And I could see this horror sequel being beloved in the very same way, only because it did have some laughs. It does have some campy stuff. But in terms of the pure quality of the first film and why the first film is so good and why the concept of the first film is so good, it's expanded on here in a way that I think is not the best. Like, the concept, first of all, that Stephen Lang's character, this blind man, could be so adept at navigating space without eyesight is a great concept for the first movie as he takes advantage of his home, his darkened home that he knows every inch of. This film just kind of makes him into a blind man who isn't blind. Like, his ability to react and just interact with the world is kind of, you know, it's cool, but it asks you to suspend your disbelief in a way that I think is like not totally necessary, and I think makes the movie a little worse. There's a fun plot line in here. The villains are great. I won't get into who they are. Madeline Grace does a good enough job as the daughter in this film. You know, not my favorite part of the film, but she doesn't ruin it by any means. So what I would tell you guys is if you love the first movie, like if you're really big fans of the first movie in the way that you love an artistically done great horror film, if you like The Babadook, if you're big fans of really interesting horror, the original version of Let the Right One In, that first Don't Breathe film is much more akin to that. This is way more like watching Jason X. Maybe not quite as silly, but like it's a silly horror sequel compared to a really genius horror film. So I think it's probably a worthwhile film to go see with friends. Stephen Lang continues to do a good job. He kills it. Like I said, the villainous plotline is a lot of fun, but overall, I don't think I would give this film much better than a 5. It's an average movie, maybe even a little worse on some level, better on some level because it's more entertaining than that, but worse in the sense that like it doesn't feel like there was a whole lot of careful care given to the film. So I think that would be my full and complete review of Don't Breathe 2. Thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for tuning in once again to another movie review here on Action Industries. My name is Ben Bateman. Be sure to follow everything we're doing, and of course me personally at Ben Bateman Media. Leave a comment below. Did you love this movie? Did you see it? Did you love the first movie? Were you looking forward to this one? I think a lot of us were. Curious to know your thoughts. Hit that thumbs up button. And otherwise, guys, we'll be back with many more movie reviews, trailer reactions, and live streams here on the channel. See you guys very soon. Take care.